So when I came into real estate and I got introduced to my first CRM, my first thought was like, oh, okay, this is like the call
Right.
centers, right? I'm going to hold everybody into here. And it makes sense, right? You got to look at like Meta and Google and all these other big companies like Apple. Their number one source of information that they're after is our data.
Right.
Right. So if you compile those things together, it only makes sense. Like I should probably put as much data as I can into my database to not only give my company value, but to be able to nurture and automate a lot of the nurturing process to these not so ready clients.
Yeah, right.
Right. We always talk to real estate leads on a regular basis that aren't ready. If we don't have proper systems and automations put in place to nurture them for us, then they're going to fall through the cracks.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. So I realized this really early on. And I've always just treated my database as my number one thing. I log into it first thing in the morning. I look at my task list, all the calls that I have to make, what's not being automated, I have to do manually, which is very little now, thanks to AI. And I can know that nobody's falling through the cracks. All of these people are still being nurtured. And that's what gets rid of those hills and valleys that we all experience.
Right. Well, and to your point, when you look at the most valuable companies on the planet, Google, Meta, X, I don't know if they're out there yet, but these massive companies, these tech companies, they trade in data. That's where their business, we use all these platforms for free, essentially. I mean, to some extent, but ultimately they make billions of dollars because they have our data and they sell our data to the highest, to anybody that wants it. And so for people in our industry to not understand or really fully get the value of that data is still mind boggling to me, because when I ask, as a lender, and I do classes on AI and talk about, database management and all this kind of stuff too. And I'll be in a class of 20 agents and I'll ask them, I'll say, okay, who has a database? And everybody raises their hand. Oh, I got one. Okay. And then I'll say, okay. And I'll point to somebody and say, okay, what's your database? And they go, well, I have an Excel sheet at home that I have my most recent contacts on. I'm like, well, how many people are on that? And they'll say, oh, about 50. And I'm like, okay, so all you did was keep all the transactions that you did and all the people on each side. I'm like, do you have the agents that you worked with? Do you have the brothers and sisters? No, I don't have, do you have you're part of PTA? Do you have your PTA group in? No, I don't. And so it's like, we know this, and everybody knows, like, yeah, I got a database matters, but the emphasis on it should be so much greater than it is because of how many people trade on this. And, one of the things that I've seen a lot lately that I really drives the point even further home for me is, a lot of, social influencers, the Gary V's of the world and whatnot, will talk about how you can build an audience on Instagram and you can build an audience on YouTube and you can build an audience on Facebook and you can have thousands of people, watching your content, seeing it every day. But the first time that you post something that they don't like or that they're not happy about or whatever the case may be, they can demonetize you and shut down your entire channel, and that entire audience is gone, right? So these third-party, platforms control who you get to reach out to and see. Who doesn't control you, or who has control over your database? You. So if you're always marketing to that and that's your number one priority, I feel like the success rate for you getting clients and getting deals is going to be that much greater. And now that we've added AI to this, to the next level of it, now all of these tasks that used to be tedious and a pain in the butt to do are now automated and now can be done for you without even having to think, outside of a little bit of setup.
Yep.
So you do a lot. I know the one that you use is Lofty. So I know there's lots of them out there, but tell me a little bit about what you found and the types of things that you do with your database that you've been able to automate with AI.
Yeah. So a lot of people think when you talk about AI in a database, they just immediately think chatbot, right? I'm going to have this chatbot that's going to reach out to my leads, that's going to qualify them, that's going to convert them, and then I'm just going to have to show them a house. Doesn't really work like that.
Right.
Okay. Sorry to bust any bubbles out there, but chatbots can be useful if we can fine tune them properly. And where I think a lot of the mishap is going on in the industry right now is that people are plugging into AI systems that are operated by a CRM and expecting this to know everything about them, and it doesn't. So it might cost you more deals. So the way that I integrated AI into my business was really more on the creation of a lot of stuff, right? So think about your website, right? Like I literally go through, I train ChatGPT, and this is obviously, you may have talked to your group about this before, but proper prompt engineering, right? So like role priming a chat to take a specific role will give you significantly better results than if you don't role prime it. So what I would do is I would say, hey, you're an expert digital marketing agency, and you specialize in graphics design and website development. I'm going to screenshot my current website template, and I'm going to feed you all of the information about my business and how I speak. And then you're going to tell me how I should build this website out. So then we go screen by screen on the website, where ChatGPT is like, basically, okay, for proper SEO optimization in this section here, you're going to want to have this statement here that aligns with your business and aligns with your SEO keywords on the back end of the website. So I basically have this coach or this consultant that knows a lot. And the crazy thing about this is, like, this data set that that ChatGPT and Gemini and Grok and all these large language models are trained on, they have taken in so much information that would be physically impossible for a human being to do in even 10,000 years at the rate that we can absorb information. So when you think about utilizing AI as a marketing director or as a graphics designer, it's going to know a conglomeration of all the world's knowledge that was available online for that given subject. So you're literally working with some of the best, if not the best,
Yeah.
right? So we can get really good outcomes. So I do it for things like website. I do it for like all of my drip campaigns, right? Most people jump into a CRM and they're like, oh, where's the drip can library or the drip campaign library? So I can just take all these canned drip emails and stick them in and then complain in 3 months when nobody responds.
Right.
Why is that? It's because they're not tailored to you, right? So I'll go into ChatGPT or into Gemini and I'll say, hey, you will act as an expert marketing director specializing in CRM automation and drip campaign creation. And you will help me design a drip campaign that's going to run for 2 years, sending out 2 emails a month based on a virtual process of purchasing a home, right? Then all of a sudden it spits out this outline, right? Now, remember, I'm feeding it all of my information about my business. So I've gone through another consultative process with ChatGPT previously, where we go into the 10 major aspects of any company and I give it my mission statement or I create it within it. And I basically built this entire profile and I save it in a document. And then I upload it to these chats when I'm doing it. And then now when it's like, okay, I'm going to create a 2-year campaign, sending 2 emails a month that are based on the virtual process of buying a home, I don't just get a generic virtual process. I get a virtual process based on where I'm located, my personality, my target avatar, the way that I sell things, and then it comes out with my personality in that. So now the email is speaking like me.
Right.
So if you guys hang out with me long enough on this podcast, you're going to know I don't talk like a typical realtor. So a lot of my emails will be like, hey, what's up, dude? Like, thanks for checking out more information about my first time homebuyer program. Did you know this, and this? Right. And I just focus on education and information versus psychological sales techniques, because the reality is that nobody wants to be sold to anymore. Those days are long gone. People want to be advised. They want to be consulted. They want to know how to make the decisions themselves and be comfortable with it. So I've adopted that view. And then I utilize AI to create all of this messaging. And then I put it into automation systems inside the CRM, to where the only thing I have to worry about is making a phone call. Everything else is handled automatically. So we're talking automatic property alerts, automatic market updates, automatic email sequences, automatic text sequences. And they each come in and go in a specific area in my database based on the lead source, right? So if it's a Facebook first-time home buyer, they have their own lane to go down all the way through the sale and after the sale. And if they're a downsizer that came in off of Google, they have their area. So the correspondences that go out automatically aren't being put out by AI. They're being put out by an automation based on the context that I fed my AI, and we created that correspondence. Highly effective. And like, without going down a rabbit hole, like, I'm talking linear, guys. So I'm finding out what my client's personality is based on their social media presence. And then I'm feeding them a drip campaign that's tailored towards them based on their disc profile. Right. So I'll have 4 different campaigns for each campaign that I use AI to create, that's going to speak in each of the 4 categories of the disc. And then I can send it out to these people. So now I'm talking to them on a subconscious level with real valuable information, which results in sales.
Well, and I think that's the next level that I think gets missed when we talk about AI, because like you said before, when people think about AI, they just think they're going to push a button and everything's going to do everything for them. And there is, to some degree, on certain things that is true. But the idea behind it, really, to take it to a whole other level, is to personalize it, like you said, and to take it, not only personalize it to the client, but also personalize it to you, because people buy from, and you want to sell to people that are like you.